Lyle Briggs, a treasurer at University Banking, was found murdered in his bedroom just 2 days ago. With multiple stab wounds and signs of a struggle, he seems to have died rather quickly. His brother, who was staying with him at the time, says he heard a commotion upstairs, and when he went to investigate, he saw the assailant over his brother. He then grabbed the assailant's gun that was on the floor and fired, but missed. The assailant seems to have escaped out a back window into the night.
Good evening. I'm investigator Kyle James. I'm here to ask you a few questions regarding the murder of Lyle Briggs. He was a treasurer at University Bank. Now, as I recall, Mr. Langford, you are his neighbor from across the street, are you not?
I am.
And Mr. Williams, you've met Mr. Briggs before in person, haven't you?
Yeah, I believe we had met once or twice.
And could you say confidently that your boss, Mr. Clark, had met Mr. Briggs before he was murdered?
Yeah, sure. We had met several times. Purely business.
And what kind of work was that, Mr. Clark?
He was a treasurer at the bank. Dealt with some of the bigger flows of cash.
And those bigger loads, I'm assuming those were mostly yours, as you seem to have had a regular flow of $350 being put directly into your account into others.
I did tend to transfer quite a lot of money to other accounts from mine, yes.
And did you ever have any troubles with Mr. Briggs coinciding with your work, possibly outside of work?
No. Tony and Lyle were close. Probably even too close with Tony just being a customer, but they never had no trouble.
So, Mr. Clark never had any reasons to hurt Mr. Briggs?
No reason to hurt him.
Did you?
No, I would never. We'd been neighbors for years. He trusted me and I trusted him.
So, you must have known a lot about Mr. Briggs.
Well, there's always something left in the dark.
So, Mr. Langford, can you please describe to me what you saw that night?
Well, I was in my front room reading. And I look over and I thought I seen him looking through his window at me. So I get up and I go over to look at him. See a flash and I hear a gunshot.
It says here that you and Mr. Clark came back into town Thursday night, is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
But how'd you know Mr. Briggs had been murdered?
I saw it in the paper.
Oh.
It's a shame, really. Getting stabbed in the back's no way to die.
You know, it's funny you should say that. You mentioned getting stabbed is no way to die. And even though the evidence shows that he was stabbed, no one else claims that he was. Both Mr. Langford and Mr. Williams claim to have been at Mr. Briggs' house at the time of his murder, and both claim to have seen him stand at the window and then seen a muzzle flash directly after. But the interesting part is that Mr. Briggs was stabbed. There's definite signs of struggling, and then Mr. Briggs' brother came into the room, grabbed the gun, and fired it. Almost as if there was an improvisation that never got out. Almost like Mr. Langford knew Mr. Briggs' schedule, and you and Mr. Williams just so happened to be coming back into town that night. And it says here that you're actually filing for a loan right now. Probably for a debt you can't pay, and Mr. Briggs was catching up. So, you come back from your bad news trip with his name on your mind. You call Mr. Langford to see if Mr. Briggs is at home. You sneak into Mr. Briggs' house, but you're not expecting his brother. So now you can't use your gun as planned, so you improvise. But Mr. Briggs isn't so easy. So, you struggle around. When you've finally done it, his brother's there. Picks up the gun that had probably fallen out of your coat, and then after he shoots and misses his shot, you get out of the back window scot-free. But now your story's flawed. Because now your fake witness and your getaway driver both saw him get shot in the window. They heard the gunshot. All was planned. But because you needed to escape out the back window, you couldn't tell them that it went another way.
Hold on a minute. He was my daughter's godfather. He helped
Now,
me
hold
raise
on.
her
You don't know what
kids
you're
all
talking
my
about,
kids, help
okay?
me in my
I
life.
didn't kill nobody, alright? Now listen, I ain't saying I'm some perfect little human being, but I ain't never killed nobody. You can't come in here without any evidence